fella, right here.
Check it out.
Trust fall. We're trust falling. And we are live. Sports Dummies, Warzone Sports Network. Big changes coming, but we're not going to talk about that right now. It's the NFL offseason. Everybody's on summer break, and you have stumbled into conversations, a safe space to say the dumbest things that you want about your favorite players, sports teams, sports topics. And we got a list. I pulled a bunch of graphics off of PFF, everything courtesy of PFF. They keep great content going year round. We're going to get into the Vikings' new look offense. Which defensive player would you want going forward? We got a Gronk retirement to talk about, whether that's a real thing or not. We're getting into all that and more. If you can, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and jump into these comments, whether you're watching it live or the replay of this episode. Joe Morley, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Tony. Thank you for bringing it back on a Saturday morning for the Sports Dummies. I'm just ready to talk because, like you said, we were talking earlier that this is the downtime of NFL football talk. Like, even NFL players are taking time off and going and hiding out. Cliff Kingsbury of the Arizona Cardinals, the head coach, he said, I'm out of country for 3 months or 3 weeks. I'm not going to know anybody. Don't call me. Don't talk to me. So all these players are going out and they just had their mini camps, and then they're going to take a couple weeks off, and then training camp hits hard. And if you guys are watching on TikTok, we're over on YouTube as well. Warzone Sports Network, come on over. I got the TikTok going. A lot of people on there, Tony. I don't know why. Hi, people. You want to say hi to them? But we're gonna hit everything. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, and I know that you pulled the PFF things, so I'm kind of interested to do it because I'm a Raider fan, and one of them is really gonna get me excited to talk about that. And I'll just start it off. Raiders.
Oh my gosh, yes, and I can't be in my garage surrounded by powder blue right now because it's too hot for that nonsense to be sweating it out in the lodge doing the show. Before we get into our first, it's not even really a list. I just thought that it was interesting and it'll be surrounding the Vikings. But like at this time, what do you, I guess, like as a fan, do you hope that the players are, if they're veterans, what do you hope for them? And if they're young guys, what do you hope for them on your team? Like what are you hoping they're doing right now with their time?
I'm hoping they're studying the playbook, especially for my team, especially the Raiders, because everything I've read about Josh McDaniels' offense is you're going to have to learn it, and you have to get ready because a lot of people go to the Patriots thinking that they're going to be great players, and you always hear all these stories like Reggie Wayne of the Indianapolis Colts great wide receiver, went to the Patriots, they ended up retiring like 6 days later because the playbook was so complex, right? So I'm hoping for anybody that's new on the Raiders, one, they're working out, getting ready for the season because it's going to be a longer season, especially if you're a new player coming from college to the NFL. It's going to be a longer season than you normally have, and that offense needs to be ready to go because there's a lot of pressure on the Raiders this season, especially because you're asking about my team. So that's what I'm hoping going on with my team.
Yeah, I mean, my team's going to be playing into February, so I want them getting full relaxation right now, right? Like, Joe, it's going to be an exhausting season for you talking to me because I have very high anticipation and hopes for the Chargers this year. But I think, if anything, I really like that about the playbook, right? Like, I like just being so familiar with it so you can hit the ground running. But I hope the veterans are out getting some quality time with their family. Like some of these older guys that are there, that they can really create some memories, hit up a theme park, go to some deserted island where they don't have to be bothered by fans asking for autographs. And they can just sort of blend in. Because I do believe that's important, is finding a way to like make sure that everybody in your family knows how important they are. Because for the next 6-7 months, they're not going to be getting as much attention.
You don't think that one of the high-profile players on your team should be like in New York going to baseball games and checking out other stadiums and all that stuff?
I mean, if they're young and they don't have a family and that's what they want to do with their time, then great. This is their
Just taking
time.
a shot at Josh Jacobs right there, you know.
Oh,
New York Yankees.
Josh Jacobs is funny because he's one of those guys where like he's been so good and effective in the NFL, and he might not even make it to a second contract, which is crazy what we're doing to running backs now.
Well, yeah. I posted a video the other day about Todd Gurley. He's still second in the league since 2016 or 2017 in touchdowns scored, and he took a whole year off. So, yeah, running back.
No, that's an impressive stat. I'll just say this: like, I think that the players' union has to get together and they have to work something out. They have to say, like, hey, even if you get picked in the first round, which no running backs got picked, and I think that's a trend that could start to happen, they got to say your first contract as a running back coming into this league is 3 years. You can only lock them up for 3 years at that position, because we're already the science, the data, whatever you want to look at is in. These guys aren't having extended careers. And for them to be able to get to a second contract and earn the appropriate amount of money that they should be getting, you should be able to say, hey, after 3 years, you have to at least franchise tag that player, or you need to pony up and pay them some cash, because Josh Jacobs has been a productive running back. And who's given him a big contract next year after all those carries? I don't know. I don't know any team that's coming to pony up cash, because he's going to have another year of injuries.
Yeah, and I think Josh Jacobs is already bracing for it, that he already knows that the Raiders are looking at the replacement. They already got Zamir White. They brought in Brandon Bolden. They brought in a couple other people. Kenyon Drake's still there. You never know. So Josh Jacobs I don't know if he's trying to force himself out, because he hasn't been practicing this offseason. Like, if you notice, and they've never said like, oh, he has an injury. They just say, oh, he's sitting out the mini camps. He's doing all this. So there could be some behind the scenes stuff where he's like, I want to be taken care of, or I want out of here. So like you said, running backs' lives aren't that long, and he wants to take care of himself, and I don't doubt him. I'm not going to hate him for it. I'll just say that.
Yep. Give a shout out to 302 Birds. Appreciate you guys popping in the chat here. We do have a good Eagles versus Finns PFF question, but I believe that is the last one of the show. But let's get into our first one here. And I pulled this photo of Justin Jefferson saying, it's not a run first offense anymore. We're all excited. Now, if I'm reading this and I'm Delvin Cook, originally I thought to myself, what do you mean we're not a run first offense? Like, I'm Delvin Cook. I'm one of the best players. I'm one of the best running backs in football when I'm healthy out there. But I actually think that would make him happy. It would make him better. It helps out his career. It helps keep, because he's also good and effective in the passing game. So it's not like they're just abandoning all of his skills and ability. But if they really do implement, more stretching the field, more using the pass to set up the run, I think that really is going to help him out. I like to see how excited young players are when you just get new energy in the building. Because Coach Zimmer, doesn't he seem like that old shop teacher, where you're just like, aren't you going to retire soon? Like, you're just kind of here. You're good at your job, but you're not injecting any sort of energy into the atmosphere. Like, it's like you're really good at your job, but retirement or the next stage is calling for sure.
Well, I don't get the quote by Justin Jefferson. I don't get how he's coming out and saying we're not a run first team anymore. Basically, what you should be coming out and saying is we're not focused on defense anymore. We're an offense first team. Mike Zimmer, it was all about defense, and then the offense was really what was carrying that team anyways. But Mike Zimmer only cared about one thing, and that was the defense. Because really, if you look back at the stats from last year and you look at the Vikings from last year, they were the 11th best passing team and the 17th best rushing team. So they were more going towards the passing anyways last year. But yeah, I think that helps Dalvin Cook and hopefully doesn't, hopefully I can get him in fantasy league this year. I try to stay away from him because of his injuries, but this year I'm kind of looking towards it just because I like that Minnesota offense. But I think instead of more of a pass happy offense, I think that's what the team went to. The team is now focusing on, we're an offensive team. We're going to put up points, and instead of Mike Zimmer's, let's shut them down, and then if we score enough points, if we score 16 points, we'll be all right. That's what I'm getting out of the Minnesota Vikings this year.
I'm excited for Justin Jefferson to maybe slot into like a Cooper Kupp type opportunity where the offense is just rolling through him. It's like it's 3rd and short, and they're trying to get him on an option route from the slot or something like that. I think that's great. My problem is Kirk Cousins is in that category where it's like, I think he's better than Jared Goff, but how much better than Jared Goff? Because I don't think he's as good as Matt Stafford is. I have been a huge, celebratory fan, whatever you want to call it, pom-pom waving for Matt Stafford forever. And then he gets to the Rams, and in 1 year, he gets some good breaks going his way, and he wins a Super Bowl. Do we think that Kirk Cousins in 1 year would have went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl last year? I don't believe that. So, yes, I'm excited about the offense, but do they have that? Is Kirk Cousins that guy that at the end of games or, when you need him to shake off a bad 3 quarters and deliver in the 4th, is he that player? I'm not sure. I want to root for Kirk Cousins, Michigan State guy, a Spartan, East Lansing. I loved him in college, and I think he's a very, he's a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. But is he a top 12 quarterback all of the time, in every aspect of the game? I'm not sure. So as much as they're excited about the offense, I look at the trigger man and I'm like, I want to see it. I want to see it happen. Can he be Matt Stafford?
Well, last year he threw 33 touchdowns and only had 7 interceptions, Tony. So, I mean, if he can continue that, but he's going to be learning a new offense, so there's going to be some growing pains. But if he can continue to keep the interceptions low and just find the guys that needs to find, I think he'll be all right. I wish we could still find the stats, and I wonder how good he has done now. But remember, there was a time where he was like 0-12 or something like that in primetime games or against winning teams. I know as a career record, in the 2 teams that he's been with, he's a 500 quarterback. He's 59-2, Tony, going into the season. So he's right there, average quarterback. And I don't know. I'm with you. There's no way that he would have gone to the Rams and won. There's no way that you could put him. He's a middle of the road, good enough, better than a journeyman quarterback, but not a franchise quarterback. How about that?
See, I think he is a franchise quarterback because I think that we have this idea of there's being able to, one, you got to be a professional, right? To be a franchise quarterback. He checks that box. He's professional. He's good on the mic. He shows up for work. He's accountable. He's a good leader. You like that. He's a little fire to him, right? But then there's Super Bowl franchise quarterbacks. Do we believe he's that player that separates you, that allows your defense to be a little weak, that allows you to have some holes on special teams? And when you bring up it, to me, that's what I was saying without saying it, was the primetime record of Kirk Cousins. And at some point, these playoff games are going to come, and they might be on the road. You might get the 3rd game of the season against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Lambeau. And I think that the Packers defense is being slept on a little bit. I think they're going to be even better. I like both of, everybody talks about dogs. They added 2 Bulldogs to that defense in Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker, who I think are going to be real nice. You lock up Devondre Campbell. I know they lost the edge guys in Darius Smith, but you still have good DBs with Jair Turner. And so I think the Packers defense, leaning on, they're missing Devontae Adams, but maybe we're seeing more A.J. Dillon this year. Maybe we're seeing more Aaron Jones. until they figure out the passing game and leaning on that defense. And do I like Kirk's chances to go there and win a game in December and January or whatever in a playoff game? I don't love it. I don't think that, I think Kyle Shanahan put them over the top in that 49ers defense.
Yeah, he's no Jimmy G. But so are you saying the Vikings and the Packers basically flipped? The Vikings are now a pass happy, no defense, just put up points, and the Packers are now going defense running game. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, and I would think that would be to start the year. You also want to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy and upright. You don't want him having to win games and be out there limping, taking hits to his lower body, exposing himself to those type of hits. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of a role reversal, and you're also working with what you got. I mean, when you really think about it, it's like Justin Jefferson's a top 3 receiver in the league. I know Chase Claypool put himself in that category, but like Justin Jefferson has already shown us he's in that category. So you lose Devontae Adams, who with Aaron Rodgers was a top 3. What he is with Derek Carr, we don't know. We aren't even going to discuss that right now. We'll save that kind of topic for closer to the season, so I can really get y'all riled up. But when you're thinking, oh, Aaron Rodgers is working with a rookie wide receiver, or is Allen Lazard going to take that step and be a legit number 1 type guy that he has chemistry with? I just think it makes more sense for it to be a pass-happy system with the Vikings and Adam Thielen and Irv Smith coming back. Like, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I understand, but yeah, I was gonna bring up a Derek Carr thing, but I'll let it go. I'll let it go right now, Tony. I was gonna be like, we'll go, because that would take us way off topic, and I'm not gonna go way off topic right now.
All good. Remind everybody who is listening, if we get this uploaded on the audio platforms, to head on over to YouTube and subscribe. Speaking of letting it go, Rob Gronkowski's letting go of his NFL career, or at least for now, right? I do believe, before we get into this grade, because the PFF put out something since 2006, the highest graded tight ends, which this list is Gronkowski at 93.7, Travis Kelce 93.1, George Kittle 92.7, the great Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez at 91.6, Mark Andrews at 91.1. But before we get into really looking at this list, do you think Rob Gronkowski is done? He'll never put pads on again. What do you think? Yes or no?
I don't think he's done. And everything I've been reading and hearing is he just doesn't want to go to training camp. Like, so this is his way to not go to Tampa Bay and get out of the training camp. And then okay. And then he has Tom Brady. Like, he's good friends with Tom Brady. You don't think Tom Brady's already telling him, like, Gronk, I need you. You're coming back. You've already said you're coming back. And we've already seen the story before that he's retired and then came back. So I think he's just trying to get out of training camp, and then we'll see Gronk week 1 when Tampa Bay. I don't know who Tampa Bay plays week 1, but we'll see him week 1. I guarantee it. I would put, like, if they had a big money bet on it, I would put money down on it.
I think that Gronk takes a nice big paycheck somewhere in week 6, right? Comes in week, maybe even later in the season, maybe even like week 8, 9, 10. Because Gronk's whole thing is that he does want to play football. He wants to play in games. He already knows Tom. There's not like, oh, they got to establish chemistry or whatever. We're talking about the greatest combination potentially ever between wide receiver, or receiver and quarterback, whether it's tight end or wide receiver. So my thing with Gronk is, yeah, I'll take a huge payday to come back and play with Tommy in a farewell when the Bucs are 7-1, 8-1, coming off a bye week. I'll get in there. I'll start working out. I'll first couple weeks back, I'll play 25 snaps, only sort of out of a slot type situation. No, he doesn't want to go. Gronky want to have fun. Gronky want to drink and spike football. Like, that's what he wants to do. He's not interested. He's young, rich, and attractive. Like, these are all, and single. These are all reasons to be out and enjoying your life, not rehabbing a knee injury or an elbow or bumps and bruises or spending days in meeting rooms. He has nothing left to prove. But I just think the opportunity to play a couple final games with Tom Brady, he won't pass up. So I don't believe for a second that Rob Gronkowski is retired.
And he's only 33 years old. Doesn't it seem like he's way older than that? Like he's been in the league for longer than 2010 is when he entered? So
it does.
So this would be his 13th season or 12th season?
I don't know. I don't know any of the numbers that you just said, to be honest with you. I don't know any of them. He does seem older because I thought he was 31 or 32. I thought he was younger than what you said.
Yeah,
but
he's 33.
I feel like he's older than 33. If you asked me how old Rob Gronkowski was, I'd be like, he's probably pushing 40 like Tom. It feels like he's been there for a really long time. But that just goes to show you how relevant he was for so long. He was from moment one all the way through New England and then carried that over into Tampa Bay of relevancy. That's the crazy part about it.
Well, he took the 2019 season off. And remember, everyone was saying, oh, he's done. He only had 3 touchdowns in his last season in New England. The offense didn't run through him that much in New England. And then he went and signed with Tampa Bay and became Gronk again. And he's Tony, for being as big as he is, he makes catches over the shoulder. He makes catches down low. He does a lot of stuff that a normal tight end can't do. And I don't know. I don't see him walking away without Tom Brady at least trying to get in his ear one more time. Yeah,
it's all about to be this as special as he was. It's about a connection. It's about chemistry. Yeah. It's to be with somebody who can be effective and have chemistry. I'm going to bring this list up one more time. And if you're just listening to the audio version, the best 5 grades since 2006 are Gronkowski, Kelsey, Kittle, Gonzalez, Mark Andrews in that order. I look at this list and I go, Mark Andrews made it to number 5 on this list with Lamar Jackson. Like, imagine if Mark Andrews ended up with a quarterback who's good from the pocket, because this is Tony Gonzalez on this list with Matt Ryan. Like, I'm sure he probably had some high grades even when he was with Trent Green. So just imagine, all I'm saying is imagine Mark Andrews with elite quarterback play.
Yeah. So so what are they grading it on? Are they just grading on? Or they've graded it on his pass blocking, his catching, his yards after catch, everything, like the whole game, or what goes into these grades?
So yeah, I think it's the highest grades, right, for tight ends overall. So you're looking at, because all of these guys can put their hand in the dirt and block, and I think that's what they're getting grades for. It's not just a pass catching grade. It's what do you do in everything. All aspects of the position. So that's how these grades. I wish that they put the seasons that these grades came up with, but we can probably take a good guess. The Mark Andrews season might be the MVP year from Lamar. Yeah. Gonzalez, it might be the MVP season with Matt Ryan, Kittle. A couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, Kelsey, the 50 touchdown season with Patrick Mahomes, Gronkowski. I don't know. Pick one of the 5 all-pro seasons that he had with Tom Brady, or however many all-pros that he had. So I think it's an overall grade. But it just shocked me that Mark Andrews was 5th on this list, not because of talent, just that he's on this list with somebody that I don't necessarily consider to be a dynamic passing threat in Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, but if you look at that offense, it's Lamar Jackson and then Mark Andrews. Like, That's his guy. That's his go-to guy. Like that's who. Like we always talk about how the Ravens never have a wide receiver. Well, they have a tight end that he goes to, and that's all he goes to. And then it's like, hey, you guys run deep, and then we'll throw to Mark Andrews right underneath it.
Yeah, I would have actually thought Darren Waller would have made it somewhere on this list. But again, if we're bringing in a blocking component, I do think that the effectiveness of Mark Andrews in the run game and it being such a prolific running offense in Baltimore, that really can help bolster that grade for PFF. But yeah, farewell to Gronk until midseason at least.
Yeah, Gronk. We'll see you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. I see him coming back. I don't see Gronk walking away.
Gronk's not staying retired. All right, now we have a new one right here. This I found to be very interesting per Mike Renner of PFF. It says the biggest year 3 breakout candidates. And there's a list of Jerry Jeudy, Ezra Cleveland, who's a guard for the Vikings, Trevis Gibson, who's an edge for the Bears, Grant Delpit, who's a safety for the Browns, Isaiah Simmons, linebacker Cardinals, Jonathan Grenard, edge for the Texans, Jonah Jackson, guard for the Lions, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers, Kyle Duggar, safety for the Patriots, and Cameron Dantzler, cornerback for the Vikings. Is there anybody on this list that you immediately gravitate to as like the breakout candidate and some sort of a reason?
See, I was looking at this list because you sent it to me earlier, and I was like, I'm not impressed with this list. Maybe Brandon Ayuk, because we've seen a little bit from him, and maybe they want to go back to, with Trey Lance, maybe he'll get Ayuk going a little bit more. I think Jerry Jeudy has a lot of pressure on him this year. He needs to do some stuff, but is he going to be a breakout candidate? I don't know. I came up with my own if you want to do that, but
yeah, you can. But
this list right here is like, I'm not excited about this list. I'll tell you that. I can see him getting good. Some of these guys doing good, but here's my guy. My number one breakout candidate, and maybe he kind of broke out last year, but he's going to be. I think he has the top to be one of the top in his top 3 in his position this year. That's DeAndre Swift, right? DeAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions. Another guy, J.K. Dobbins, coming back from an injury. Going to be his 3rd year. He needs to get it going, right? Everybody's excited about J.K. Dobbins in the Baltimore offense. Another Baltimore Raven guy is Deverney. Is that the wide receiver from Baltimore? That he's going to get his opportunity this year, and if he could become the top guy in that offense, where he's going to have his big breakout, right? And the last and least guy that I came up with was cornerback A.J. Terrell from the Atlanta Falcons. He actually had a high grade last year, good cornerback grade, and now he's going to be working with Casey Hayward on the other side. And I think he's going to have people already know who he is, but people more than just a generic fan will know these guys' names by the end of the year. Looking at this list, I don't know. I would. At this list, I wouldn't say like the average fan would know any of these guys.
I think is it Duvernay, right? It's French. Duvernay.
Duvernay.
I like the list you put together. I think all of those players do have a great potential for breakout, and one of them actually crosses over with a player that I'm going to pick, which is Jonah Jackson. Jonah's part of a very good offensive line. If he's the starting guard, he could be behind, he could be blocking for a 1,400-yard rusher in DeAndre Swift. Because I do think that the Lions team takes some leaps forward and wins 6, 7, 8 games this year, which is a lot for where the Lions have come from. And I think that's a player in a position for the Lions where it's really going to they're going to be winning more trench battles than they have in past years, because they drafted Penei Sewell, who's also entering second year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
3rd year? I forget. He's entering his third year, correct? No, second year. I can never remember. I think it's his second year because who knows? I don't know. I think it's his second year. I just got sidetracked, and there's other players on the offensive line that are escaping me because I dug myself into a hole here. Yeah. But I could see him being a player that gets recognition on a Lions football team that is trending in the right direction. The other player I like is Kyle Duggar. You get a few years in with Bill Belichick, and you can really start to pop in years 3 and 4 and stuff like that in time for contract years. And then he just lets you go like JC Jackson and end up getting paid by another football team. And then lastly from this list is Isaiah Simmons, because I think they had a couple of linebacker departures. I can't remember if Jordan Hicks was one of them. But when you look at who they're playing, they're going to play Cam Akers, who's going to be running the ball quite a bit. They're going to be playing the Seahawks. Are they putting it in Drew Lock's hands, in Drew Lock's belly? Or are they going to be running Rashad Penny and the kid
Walker?
from East Lansing?
Walker?
Kenneth Walker. Thank you. Yeah. Kenneth Walker. So I think you get those type of games. And then obviously San Francisco, they've always got 15 running backs. You getting a dose of Elijah Mitchell. So I think combined with maybe trailing in some football games this year, I think Arizona struggles a little bit and teams are getting to run more. Isaiah Simmons could be racking up a lot of tackles. So I'll go with those three. The bigger names, Judy and Ayuk. I just don't know if these are the best situations. Trey Lance, we don't know what that's going to look like as far as like a passing game. And then Jerry Jeudy, he's very a route runner. It's timing dependent. And Russell Wilson is kind of off script is where a lot of that success comes from. So I just don't know how good that's going to be.
And that's what I was going to say. I go, like, if you're looking at big names, like Jerry Jeudy should be the guy. And you're like, oh, Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson, those two guys should be hooking up. And then you go and look at Jerry Jeudy and you're like, okay, his first year, he did pretty damn good. But last year with the injury, he had no touchdowns. And like you said, he's a route runner, and he needs somebody that throws him the ball on the timing mechanism. And we all know that Russell Wilson is going to be running for his life. He's going to be trying to find him and throw it downfield. So I don't know. I would hope, and I like Jerry Jeudy coming out of college, but this is the year to do it, right? Like, because we're seeing these wide receivers getting big money year 3, year 4, now year 5. So if he wants to make his money and get his second contract, this is the year that they need to break out.
Yeah, I do think one of the receivers will break out along with KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler reminds me a little of Tyler Lockett, where it's like you're running around, and you just find a player that's sneaky fast and gets behind the line of scrimmage. So I just don't know whether it's Jeudy or Cortland Sutton or maybe Tim Patrick. I'm not sure which one it is. I like the talent. I don't like the team. I do like Broncos country. Let's ride. Ooh, Broncos country. Okay, moving on to the next one here. These ones, there is no mistake whether or not these guys are ballers or breakouts or whatever it is. But it says, pick one for the rest of their careers. They've got Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt. Joe, you can only pick one of these players, and I'm going to force you. You have to pick one of the players from this list. Which one of these players are you picking?
Well, I wasn't going to go away from the list, so this is a pretty damn good list, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first person I'm going to cross off the list, and it's not because he's not a badass, he's a great player, is Nick Bosa, because he already had the big injury, right? And then if you want me to if I'm picking somebody for the rest of their career, I'm trying to pick a guy who's at least going to give me at least 5 more years. Not saying that Bosa doesn't have that potential, but he also has the injury potential to get re-injured, and I'm going to stay away from that. Parsons, I like him. I just think he's overhyped a little bit. I understand he took over the games, but basically he's all Cowboys had, and there was times where teams go, okay, we could shut him out, and they took him out of the game. So I'll take Parsons off the list. So now I'm down to Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt. Both of them really good, but for some reason I'm going to lean towards T.J. Watt. I don't know. I've seen T.J. Watt take over more games, and I don't know. I like watching a game, Tony, and you know that when the game's on the line, somebody takes over that game. I've seen Myles Garrett do it like once in a while, but I've seen T.J. Watt when his team needs a big play, T.J. Watt is the one that makes that play. And I know that he's hardly ever leaving the field. Last year, I know he did go off the field a couple times, but it looked like he was going to go off and then have a season-ending injury, and the next 2 plays later, he's back on the field. T.J. Watt's a tough guy. He comes to a tough family, and out of these 4, T.J. Watt's the one I want for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, it's so interesting because when I look at the list, Micah Parsons doesn't have the injury in the pros, and he's the youngest of all the people on this list. So that one to me jumps out right away, where I'm like, I just watched this kid basically play on instincts last year and wreck games and be up for, defensive player of the year conversations at a certain point, that's crazy as a rookie. I mean, we're going back to Lawrence Taylor, who's having that kind of, even who was it? Javon Curse, the freak for the Titans back in the day, exploded onto the scene defensively, and ended up having a really nice career for Tennessee. I just tend to lean into this one as T.J. Watt has been fighting through so many injuries. And at some point, they just catch up with you, shoulders and knees and all of the double and triple teams, because he's not there. He doesn't have necessarily the help. And maybe Pittsburgh's defensive line will return to where it was even 5, 6, 7 years ago, or it was when of my youth. But it just hasn't felt the same way. Outside of him and Cameron Hayward, I don't think there's been much presence on the opposite side. And I do factor some of that in. Who are you playing with? Myles Garrett, for whatever reason, never quite reaches. I mean, remember last year, my crazy bold prediction was Myles Garrett gets 25 sacks or whatever. And he had a really good year last year. But I don't see him the same way that I see Bosa and I see T.J. Watt. So I battle back and forth between Bosa and Parsons, and I do think Nick Bosa is a game wrecker and whatever. And as much as this pains me to say it, I'm taking Micah Parsons. I don't know why, but I mean, I do know why. But if I had to just have one for the rest of their careers, I think you could get close to 110 sacks from him, and you're going to get 8 years of a dominant football player and somebody who just seems to love football. I think all of these guys love football, but there's something about him where it's he loves it. It's he needs it.
And I understand you're going youth, you're going all that, and you're looking at the next couple of years, but I don't know. I'm going proven. Get me the Super Bowl now. I'm ready to go. I like Parsons, but I don't know, Tony. Maybe it's because I hate the Cowboys too.
I hate the Cowboys.
I hate the Cowboys.
I know. I hope that I really do hope that he has the rest of that career on another team so that I could really be excited for him. But you're telling me that I could get 8 more years out of him. I feel like maybe I get another 5 years out of Bosa, another 5 years out of Garrett, another 3 years out of Watt. That's kind of the deciding factor, is I think there's 7, 8 more years from Parsons to be a game wrecker. Maybe he reaches some height, some dominance of Von Miller in his prime.
And you got to hope. He's only 23 years old. He had 13 sacks last year. So you got to hope that he's only going to get better after, as he grows and becomes a pro and learns more and actually isn't just going off of instinct and going off of off of reading the film and seeing tendencies. So yeah, I understand where you're going with Parsons and the future is bright with them, but I want to win now.
Yeah. This would have been a good topic for me to say I can't lie, because I really do want to hate on all things Cowboys. I do. I had a Cowboys fan over the house for a barbecue recently, and I just was like, I was just tearing on the Cowboys, like, just because it's fun. And but for Micah Parsons, I can't lie, it was very impressive.
Talent wise, Tony, no injury history, no age history. Just straight talent wise, which one of these guys are you taking?
Oh, just straight up the 3-year prime best. I'm probably taking T.J. Watt. I mean, if I just know that I'm getting them at their peak 26 to 29, no injuries, I'm probably taking T.J. Watt. Like, I watch him defeat double and triple teams once in a while, and I'm like, oh wow, this kid is mega talented. I mean, Bosa would be right there. I think it would be between Bosa and Watt if you told me that was the case. Yeah, and I got no injury history, and it's just between those two. It's probably Bosa's power and speed is extremely impressive.
If Bosa moves up my list, if you say no injury, he'll move up. But yeah, I still would go T.J. Watt, but Bosa is kind of intriguing right there too. But Parsons' age is what keeps him right in the conversation with everything that we're talking about. So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the intrigue of another 7 years is what puts him over the top. We go back in time a little bit for this next topic. PFF did a sort of a mock redraft of the 2019 draft, and this one I took. They did a couple others, but this one I thought was the most interesting for this show. One, because Joe's a Raiders fan, and two, because it shows to me where the NFL is heading, just going back 3 years. So this would be the 2019 redraft. The Cardinals would still be taking Kyler Murray at 1, and the 49ers would still be taking Bosa at 2. But instead, in this draft, the Jets would be taking A.J. Brown at 3. The Raiders would be taking Max Crosby at 4. Jeffrey Simmons would be going to Tampa Bay at 5. Terry McLaurin to the Giants at 6. The Jaguars get Deebo Samuel at 7. The Lions would be taking Rashawn Gary. Buffalo Bills get DK Metcalf. And the Broncos are getting Devin White.
See, it's your head coach. I'm sorry. I see these all the time, Tony. Like mock or NFL redraft of all these years. But are you redrafting it with needs of back then, or are you redrafting it of needs now and how good the players are? That's what I want to know. Like, when they went back and redrafted this? Are they still looking at what the needs from the 2019 draft was? Or are they just going, this is what the Raiders need now, or this is what the Cardinals need now, plus this is how good that player is now?
So I think when they do these redrafts, it's what the team needs today based on what the talent pool was then. And you take the best 15 players, you put them in that blender, and then you play this draft out this way.
Because, I mean, I don't know, a couple guys that stand out to me that's not on this list or might have been top 10 or have top 10 potential. Brian Burns, right? The linebacker from Carolina. Montez Sweat, who I remember had top 10 potential in the actual draft and fell a little bit. He should be somewhere around there. And then I just went back and I looked at this draft, Tony, and I was like looking at all the people that fell, and like you said, there's so many wide receivers. Most of them are right here in this redraft already. But I don't know. Deontay Johnson somewhere, would he have a chance at breaking this top 10? Would Hunter Renfrow go higher than normal in this draft where he went? Who else was on there? Who else I saw on there? I saw Dawson Knox was drafted in this draft.
Who's the next quarterback from this class? Because this is the year that they took Danny Dimes for the Giants.
Yeah.
Who would have been the next quarterback that they could have taken from this draft? Was it Josh? No, the Josh Rosen was 2018. who was the QB that the next QB in this class? I can't remember who else was in that
It
class.
was Murray. Who was it?
Well, you look for that. I'll go with this.
I'll look it up right now.
The reason that I picked this draft as opposed to the other redrafts, wide receiver has become such.
Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins. Okay. Wide receiver has become such a dominant position in this league that 4 wide receivers would go in the top 10 if you redrafted the 2019 class. Like that wouldn't, I cannot imagine that happening in a draft, in a real NFL draft. One, because there's the talent pool is so deep, you can wait. You have the luxury of waiting. So I get it. You're drafting for need. Yeah. You're looking for that special left tackle, that special edge rusher, that once in a lifetime safety, maybe the once in a lifetime quarterback. I get it. But having 4 wide receivers just shows you how crazy that position has become. That it's no longer good to just have one. You need to be like 3 deep. You need like a game changer. You need a very, very good one. And then you need somebody who has like Pro Bowl potential. Like that's how deep you need, because that's how dependent these teams are becoming on passing now. And I don't know. Like I look at this. The other thing too is if I'm the Jets, like I just, for whatever reason, and I continue and I will always do this, I like Terry McLaurin better than I like AJ Brown. I would, if I was the Jets, I would have taken, I needed a wide receiver, I would have taken Terry McLaurin.
See, and Jeffrey Simmons being there, I don't have an argument with Jeffrey Simmons being where he's at. And he would have been that high if he didn't have that injury in that same year. And I'm looking at the Raiders, and I know how much the Raiders love Max Crosby, how much Max Crosby has been amazing for the Raiders and how much he means for it. But really, to tell me that the Raiders would go back in 2019 and take Max Crosby at number 4, come on, really? Like everybody knew that at number 4 in that year, the Raiders should have took Devin White. So to tell me that he's going to go fall at number 10 and the Raiders not taking him right there at linebacker, could you imagine that draft with Devin White and Max Crosby going to the Raiders like it should have been, instead of putting Clean Farrell there? It would have been a lot better.
I brought this up just because I knew it would make you bitter. Like I thought it was funny that they remock the person that the Raiders already have.
Yeah,
it's like they don't even allow Raiders fans to dream, because then you could have gone, like if you're looking at this, you could have gone back to this draft class and you could have been like, oh, they're giving, like you said, Jeffrey Simmons or Devin White to the Raiders. And then you're looking at that draft class and you're like, oh, and we also would have had Josh Jacobs and we also would have had Max Crosby to go along. Instead, they don't even allow you to have a fantasy because you already had the player that they mocked to you in this draft.
You know who fell out of this top 10? Josh Allen, huh? The linebacker from Jacksonville. He would have been what, number 7 in the original draft?
Oh, yeah. I looked at Josh Allen's stats are not as crazy as I would have thought. He gets a lot of hype from the one game where he played against Josh Allen and dominated. Like that really like gave his name a lot of look at this. This guy loves Max Crosby.
Oh yeah. That's LV Raider right there. What's going on?
Love it.
King LV.
I picked this one because I was like, how unimaginative, if that's even the right word or a word, for them to just mock Max Crosby to you guys.
And like I said, I love Max Crosby, and we all know how good he is. Would he have gone in the 4th round in that draft nowadays, knowing what he'd become? Hell no. But to sit here and be like, oh, the Raiders would take him at number 4 in a redraft, come on.
Well, they're putting him in that edge class right behind Nick Bosa and only 2 picks later. So, like, that's it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if Max Crosby is, when I look at this list, I don't know if if Rashawn Gary's going to be in here, then yeah, he should be in the top 10 somewhere.
No, he's in this draft class going back. He would probably be top 10 if you know the future of what he is. But would the Raiders have took him number 4 with the rest of these guys on the board?
I don't know. I mean, you have Derek Carr, so you're telling me in this scenario that they're going to pass up on Terry McLaurin, that they're going to pass up on DK Metcalf? No. And like you said, we have the knowledge of what these players are. It's not like we're not guessing. We already know. Yeah. You're telling me that you don't want to put DK Metcalf with Derek Carr? You don't want to put Deebo Samuel with Derek Carr? Like, I don't know. I think you'd be trying to get another edge rusher because it's an offensive game and you need to get Derek Carr playmakers. Like, that's the thing that I'm most excited for you guys this year, is because if Derek Carr does not have a good year after they get Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow has established himself, and you have Darren Waller, I can't wait to hear the excuses from you guys if Derek Carr is not lights out this year. I can't wait for it.
There is no excuse. Because we'll find out after week 1 when, like, Fernando hit me up the other day. Fernando was the beat writer for the Chargers last year, and our good friend Fernando Ramirez. He hit me up the other day, and he goes, "I wish I was going to be in LA week 1." I said, "Well, I'm going to be there, and I'll send you a bunch of videos of crying Charger fans on their way out of the stadium, knowing that it's just going to be another disappointing season for them."
I will be in attendance for that week 1 too. I'm going early. I'm going to head down to Thunder Alley and party it up.
Thunder Alley.
Don't worry about it. You're not invited. Yeah, I like the comment there from Chandler Jones. I do think that is.
No, that's a good one.
I think that is going to be one of the more interesting conversations we'll be having, is the pass rushing duos from the AFC West. I think it'll be just as highly debated as the quarterbacks, is the pass rushing duos, is because everybody really has a couple of, I guess, Karlaftis needs to show up for the Chiefs.
Thunder from down under.
Oh my goodness. I almost sent you a photo the other day. I'm in the grocery store and there's a guy blocking one side of the aisle like this. Then there's like a big, chips and dip thing in the middle. And then him and his wife are blocking the other one. He's got his cart here and he's here and you can't get by. And I was like, this guy's a prick. What is he doing? And he turns around and he has a Raiders hat on. I was like, of course he did. Of course this dude would block up. There's people congested on both sides trying to figure out how we're going to get by. People, oh, excuse me, because he can't hear. And just turns around. He's got a big old Raiders hat on, silver and black T-shirt. I was like, of course. Of course he's a Raiders fan. Get out of the way.
Your buddy Browns fan is back, Tony.
Explain how the Browns are locked to win the Super Bowl. I am not. I'm off that bandwagon. Browns fan 32. I tried last year. I really did. I was like, I remember my whole spiel about them going back to 90s Cowboy style, running the football.
Yeah, you
did. No, you can't. I mean, Jacoby Brissett might be your guys' quarterback this year. You're not going to the Super Bowl. It is not happening.
Yeah, the Browns are not going. Hey, I did see. What did I just see? That I don't know. I posted the projections or the betting lines on the AFC this year, Tony. I don't know if you saw that picture. I don't have it with me, but I think the Broncos had the third best line. Is that true? Is it something like that? Why are the Broncos getting so much damn hype?
I keep going back and forth on the Broncos, and I think what's going to drive us both really crazy is their schedule to start the season is pretty friendly. And if they can get off to a hot start, the hype on the Broncos is going to go through the roof. And it'll be nauseating how much Broncos talk there will be if they get off to a hot start.
Hey, Browns fan, when Watson last played a full season, his team still went 4-12.
I think the AFC West and the AFC North are two of the best divisions that I've ever seen. The more I look at it, because I really like the Steelers roster, and if they figure it out at QB, two of the best divisions that I've seen. You ready to jump into this last topic here?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Before I
you got to pick your duo again right here. We got Tua, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle, Mr. Penguin, or we have Fly Eagles Fly with Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. Who are you picking? People in the chat, I would like to know which side you are landing on this argument to.
I don't know why you're making me do this, Tony, because you know how much I hate both of them.
I know.
Like, I hate both of them. Like, okay, like if I was picking wide receivers, it'd be Waddle and Hill all day. But then you got Tua throwing them. So then I'm looking at Hurts and Brown and Smith, and I'm like, okay, but I don't like Hurts. I don't like him either. But if I had to pick, I'll go with the Eagles, and I'll go with that trio over there, because at least we can get more than 10 yards a catch, and our quarterback can at least move around and do something.
So you're going with the Eagles. He's going with the lesser of two hatreds on this one. I saw this graphic and I was like, this is perfect for Joe. This is like he hates it. I'm with Browns fan here, and I'm leaning towards Tyreek Hill, essentially. Tyreek Hill is one of – I don't even really think that we're going to be able to fully appreciate Tyreek Hill until we've seen Patrick Mahomes' career unfold without him and what he was able to do, how dynamic of a player he is. It cannot be replicated or duplicated or whatever, words you want to use to describe Tyreek and what he brings to an offense. Is he still going to have that same gear, that same speed this year and in Miami? I don't know. Maybe does he lose a step here or there or whatever? I just think having that much speed is going to be Tua's best friend, and I'm going to err on that side there with Waddle. Even though I look at Tua, it's like I said the thing about Derek Carr earlier, it's even greater for Tua this year, because at least Derek Carr is now a decade in, and we've seen some highs. We've seen some top 10 QB runs from Derek Carr. We have to see a stretch where Tua plays like a top 10 QB. And I mean 6, 8, potentially 10 games we need to see Tua doing that, or Tom Brady could be wearing a Dolphins uniform next year.
Okay, Tony, who has the bigger drop-off this year? Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown?
Oh, that's not in like
I
think it's
in just stats, because they're great players, but just stat wise.
Yeah, and that's I got where you were going with it, and I think that the answer is probably, to me, the answer is probably AJ Brown, right? Crappy colors. What are you talking about? I'm in my Hawaiian shirt. I think if I had to pick one, I'm picking AJ Brown, because this is still going to be a run offense, right? You're still going to have Jalen Hurts taking advantage of his athletic ability. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he becomes more of a pocket passer and shows that he actually is the future and this is his job and all that fun stuff we like to talk about. But you're bringing in a wide receiver to the number one rushing offense, as opposed to paying a ton of money to a wide receiver that you're bringing there, and you want this to be a passing offense. Who did they brought in? Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert. Like, they brought in some good running backs, but I would say the down side for me would be more AJ Brown's numbers take a hit than Tyreek Hill's. What does it say? So Brown's situation is pretty much the same.
Everybody in the chat saying Hill has the bigger drop off, and then Browns fan right here just said that AJ Brown went from a run first team to another run first team. So his numbers should stay the same, while Hill will drop significantly because he's going from Mahomes and the Chiefs offense to Tua. Hey, but Tua is more accurate than Mahomes, right?
That was such a great way to plug your podcast, is to bring any sort of comparison or upgrade to Tua. Yeah, I don't know. That
And
doesn't.
Mike said if they both get 1,100 yards, it's a drop off for Tyreek, but it's good for AJ.
Yeah, I mean there is an argument to be made there, but I would say if you really look at these offenses together, right, and you said which offense would you rather have, Tyreek Hill, Gesicki, and Jalen Waddle, or Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and then who? McCole Hardman or whatever? Like, I don't think that this Gesicki and Kelsey is a big disparity, right? But there's also, to me, a huge disparity between Jalen Waddle and whoever the third option was there. Yeah. So I still think that there's a lot of players that need to eat in the Dolphins offense. Like, I think if the targets are the same, I think the numbers can be the same. It's just going to look different. It's not going to look as fun. It's going to look like a lot of short screen passes where Tyreek Hill is running around. Like, they're basically going to – I keep visualizing them turning Tyreek Hill into Barry Sanders, you know, where it's like he does a lot of running for 7 yards.
Yeah, he's just going to be running around, and that's what he wants to do. I don't know. The mad scientist, right? Is that what they calling the coach down there? The mad scientist?
Yeah, McDaniel. I think it's going to be funny because if that doesn't go well, I believe people will get sick of his personality pretty quick.
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be Sean Payton and Tom Brady taking this team, not McDaniels and Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek's going to look like Debo. I saw that Browns fan. I think that's actually probably pretty close. Like, I could definitely see them lining up Tyreek in a lot in the backfield, finding the mismatch, read option, allowing Tua to pull it back in, hit Jalen on a slant, you know, maybe a seam route to Gesicki opens up.
Yeah.
I definitely could see that being a great option. The problem is that in this scenario, the hits start to add up a lot for Tyreek. And I think Tyreek, one of the bonuses with Mahomes was he was able to get into space, use his speed, get out of bounds, get down. He wasn't taking a lot of hits. But I believe in this, with Tua, the space isn't going to be, you know, as plentiful, and he's going to be taking a lot more hits.
Does anyone else agree with me that after 2022, the wide receiver one in Miami will be Jalen Waddle?
I don't know. We saw success with Jalen Waddle, but now imagine if you bring in Tyreek Hill. I don't know.
That's when they had nobody else, right? So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to work together. A lot of people are like, well, it's going to be a perfect match. Tyreek Hill goes over the top, or the other way around. I don't know. I think there's too many weapons now, and I don't think they're going to get it going.
Yeah, I think Tyreek Hill, as long as his speed is still there, you will find ways to use him to your advantage. You know, it wasn't like Randy Moss was productive with Dante Culpepper. He was productive with Tom Brady. You know, we had never seen Tom Brady do the kind of stuff he did in 2007 until Randy Moss got there. So you find ways, you're like, oh, this guy's a system quarterback. He's dink and dunk. He's all Bill Belichick's a genius and whatever. Oh, Tom Brady's going to throw for 50 touchdown passes now. Like, I don't think Tua's going to throw for 50 TDs this year, but I do think that when you add a weapon of that caliber, that speed to your offense, and somebody that people freak out about, it changes things for the better.
You know why I like A.J. Brown? Because he's going to the NFC East. He's going to the NFC East. Terry McLaurin Everybody knows that's all Washington had, and they were going to throw it up to him, and he'll still get double teamed and still put up yards, still put up 100-yard games. CeeDee Lamb, all them guys in Dallas, everybody knew they were going to throw the ball. They still put up points. A.J. Brown's going to put up yards and points in that division. So
I like this comment right here from Browns fan 32. This is from Mike right here. Best trio is Baker, DK, and Lockett. It would have been, this comment only could have been better had he put Lock, DK, and Lockett. I was going
to tell you that in the 2019 redraft, where was Drew Lock? Why didn't Drew Lock make that top 10?
Oh, although Drew Lock, Danny Dimes, are we looking at much of a difference? We'll find out what Brian Dable can do this year.
I'm drafting Tyreek a lot in the third. If Tyreek's, see, that's how much people don't trust Tua, that Tyreek's fallen to third rounds in mock drafts, Tony?
Yeah, I think that there's a little bit of a risk there. Like, why would you not go in the second round? Why would you take Tyreek Hill if in the second round you could get a running back like Najee Harris, or Boston Eckler or something like that, where you're like, oh, this is a big part of a good offense that we know is going to score a lot of points. Drew Lock to the Pro Bowl.
There we go. So I don't know. We touched on a lot of things, Tony, and you made me get out of my comfort zone, especially on that last one, picking Jalen Hurts or Tua. I mean, all you had to say was Tua beat out Jalen Hurts, right, in college, and that's why you were going with them. You probably would have beat me on that one, but
I think in the pros, Jalen Hurts has proven to be the more effective player.
Yeah, like if you were going to say who's had a better career so far, yeah, you had to put Jalen Hurts above him.
Yeah, I think he's been there, and he's been consistent. He's been healthy. He's won big games. Looked more effective. It's not. I don't think it's super sustainable, because eventually you play that style that he plays, and injuries come with it. We've seen it happen with Kyler. We've seen it happen now last year with Lamar Jackson. You have to learn how to be most effective from the pocket. Josh Allen, I want to see you play 10, 15 years in this league. You need to start sliding. He can't play recklessly like that. I don't care how big he is. It caught up with Ben Roethlisberger too. And the last 4 or 5 years of his career were very injury-plagued years.
So to go with that argument, one last thing, Tony, go back to that argument of the best trio or the better trio out of the two right here. Pick your trio. If both of these offenses fail or they don't do great this year, are both of these quarterbacks done?
Yeah, I think circumstances will kind of weigh in, right? If there's injuries to the receiving cores, then there'll be excuses made for them. But I think ultimately, no matter what, you have to win football games in this league. And if that's not the case, then they're moving on. Then these, like, even with built-in excuses, let's say there's injuries and the quarterbacks are both healthy, but they're out there. You have to look around at the quarterbacks that are still getting things done, even through injuries. Higgins missed a lot of games last year, or not a lot, but some games for the Bengals, and Burrow was able to continue winning, right? Other players, you elevate other players when you are that QB, and I think they need to show it. My money is on Jalen Hurts to have a really, really big year, really nice year. Maybe that's partly to do with the NFC East.
Does your money jiggle or does it fold?
It's a 1010. It's a crypto. It's a currency, so it doesn't really do it. I have one of those computers from the 80s.
All right, sounds good.
Let's get out of here, Sports Dummies. We appreciate you guys swinging through here, saying what's up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like I said, big changes to come to the channel in the near future. Not exactly sure when all of that stuff is going down, but enjoy your summer. And remember, this is a safe space for you to say the dumbest things you want about your favorite sports teams, athletes, sports conversations. We try to keep it above the belt. Until next weekend, next Friday. Not sure when we're getting back together, but Joe and I, we're going to keep it real dumb. Real dumb. Whatever you got, Joe, and then you can get us out of here.
Well, I can't say real. You can't say I'm going to keep it real dumb because I was going to yell Raiders right now, and then you're going to be like, "See, told you we were keeping it dumb."
I teed you up perfectly.
Dumb comment. Here we go. By the way, the Raiders are going to have a losing season. That's Browns fan. We'll leave it there.
That's not dumb. Browns fans just talking smart. Straight heat with that.